Welcome to the RV Podcast, episode 411.
And this week we talk about what you can do to protect your dog against the deadly and spreading parvo epidemic. Hello everybody, I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride Jennifer, and this is episode 411 of the RV Podcast. And here it is, September 2023. The RV show season is about to begin. Lots of fall travel, and a special announcement to those of you who travel with dogs. There has been a deadly and very mysterious epidemic that we now believe to be parvo, incredibly contagious, that has been killing dogs across the country in numerous places. We're going to talk about that in segment 2 of the podcast. And as you travel, this is an important segment for you to listen up on, because if you travel with dogs, you want to make sure your dog is protected against this disease. We've got lots to talk about, questions and answers, and it's always good to be back to, first off, to announce a winner of our latest giveaway. We gave away a brand new Waggle Pet Monitor 4G GPS unit, $295 value, and the winner is Adrian from Las Vegas. He was one of 14,359 entries we had.
I can't believe that many people signed up, but I'm glad you did.
Yep, and we've got more coming, more contests coming, a couple of great ones that will be starting in the next couple of weeks, so be sure and stay with us. You can enter our sweepstakes free. We thank all of our partners who provide some really great stuff for us to give away, and giving stuff away is a lot of fun. So this is a busy fall season. September's here, which we think has got to be the best travel month of the year. Don't you really think that?
I enjoy the fall. I don't like being too warm. I love the beauty of summer, but I love the beauty of fall, I think, even more.
We have had a great summer. We have been on the road most of the summer. We just came back from 3 weeks on the road. And I got to say, we're starting to get a bit weary of the hot weather. Now, it's still hot. September's still a warm month, but there is a slight nip in the air. I don't know if that's quite accurate to say nip in the air yet, but you feel it changing, don't you?
You do. And the leaves are starting to fall.
Yeah, the leaves are getting all tired out. We've seen a couple of them falling. This is a busy season. The RV show season starts this month. Of course, the big one coming up in just a short period of time is Hershey, the Hershey RV Show, America's largest RV show. We will be there. Looking very much forward to meeting many of you. We'll talk next week. We'll give you the complete schedule of where we are, and we'll talk about our meet and greets that we're having at Hershey, and we hope to meet a lot of you. We will be there this time the entire week. Mm-hmm. We won't have Bo with us.
Poor Bo.
Dogs are really not allowed at the Hershey show unless they're little tiny dogs and you put them in a stroller. Well, Bo's not going to go for that. So
Bo gets a little nervous with a lot of confusion.
Yeah,
so I think it's good that he's not going to come.
Yeah, but we're going to miss Bo.
Everybody's going to miss him, and he's going to miss us.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a funny picture last week when we were packing up, getting ready to head north, and he knew we were packing, and the doors were open on the truck, and he jumped into the truck. I should have you post that picture. It was pretty funny.
Yes, yeah.
And then he took my seat. So,
yeah.
Oh boy, we're back to those days.
Yep, we will. So I'll find that picture. And for those of you who watch the video version of the podcast, we'll put it up where Jennifer was just talking about it.
Yeah, and I guess we better give everybody a heads up that this coming Sunday night, the Ask Us Anything that we have program on Sunday night at 7 Eastern Time isn't going to happen. We're going to take the week off because so many of you are on the road traveling. And so the next week, September 11th, we will be back. So we'll look forward to seeing you then.
And we'll have a new contest to announce. But ask us anything. We get a Sunday night off. Woohoo! But many of you will be traveling, like you say. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got several RV news stories this week we want to focus on. Let's start with the big one, which is everybody's getting ready for the Labor Day weekend.
Yes, they are. And several different groups that track Americans traveling are predicting traveling this upcoming Labor Day weekend to be at pre-pandemic levels. So that's good news. Labor Day weekend is the traditional end of summer, and many use the weekend to mark their final trip. And this year, because airline travel has been volatile with lots of cancellations, putting it mildly, they figure that more people are going to want to drive there and get there by car to get to their destination for their Labor Day weekend. And then combine that with gasoline prices for the regular fuel. It's just a little bit lower. I think it's $3.88 per gallon nationally. And so many are predicting that the roads are going to be busy. And as everybody knows, particularly Thursday through Monday, as everyone enjoys that long weekend. And KOA reports they're looking at Labor Day, shows about 25 million households are planning to camp, which is more than the number of campers on Memorial Day weekend.
Well, that's, there's a couple of things in that story that I think have changed. Number one, I don't think that it's the end of summer anymore, even though everybody kind of pretends it to be, because fall has become hugely popular. If you've tried to get a reservation over the past few years, anytime, in September, October, in most places, they're booked up. Because every weekend, it seems like every campground is doing a fall or a Halloween promotion, and that's pretty amazing. Gas prices, I guess, have come down, but diesel sure hasn't. Diesel is still over $5.50 pretty much everywhere we have gone. Almost $6. We saw $5.99 at a couple of places as we were driving through 4 states over the weekend. But everybody is still camping. 25 million people out camping this weekend. That's a lot.
The roads are going to be crowded, and it's interesting that more people will be traveling on Labor Day than Memorial Day.
Yeah,
I think that does indicate the lower gas prices.
Probably.
Maybe not diesel, but just gas.
Yep. Hey, congratulations to Texas authorities. They had a huge bust of a major organized crime ring that specialized in the theft of catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Now, we've reported about this several times over the past couple of years as this has become a growing problem. Particularly targeted by these thieves are RV motorhomes because it's relatively easy. There's more ground clearance for them to kind of slip underneath and to snip these things out. Doesn't take them long at all. Anyway, Texas police arrested 4 people. They seized $4.3 million worth of catalytic converters and oxygen sensors, over 1,450 of them in this group. Plus, they had $840,000 in cash that they seized. So,
4 people?
4 people, and this is a major ring in Texas. It's a national problem. Thieves are after the precious metals that are inside, and RVs, like I said, are a particularly attractive target for them. So you need to find a way to protect your catalytic converter. We have some stories at rvlifestyle.com. Just go to rvlifestyle.com and search catalytic converter, and you'll find a couple of stories that'll tell you how you can simply and inexpensively protect yours from being the target of thieves. But, there is another solution that a couple states out west.
I know. I can't believe this. Washington State joins California in banning the sale of gas-powered vehicles by 2035.
So no catalytic converters to be stolen there because they're not allowed in the state after 2035. Yeah.
So their governor announced that they're going to join California, and so the gas-powered vehicles are going to be a thing of the past.
Now, how are they going to do that? They don't know.
The details. They got a lot of details to have to work out. And both states, they say they're enacting new laws to reduce greenhouse gases. But California critics say the state currently has rolling blackouts and doesn't have anywhere near the infrastructure or the electric grid bandwidth to handle such sweeping changes.
Doesn't seem to be stopping them. And the question is, how is this going to affect RVers? But 2035 is a long time away, so I wouldn't get all worried about it. But we'll keep our eye on it, and we'll report stuff as we hear it. But on the positive end, that would also solve the problem of catalytic converter thefts from motorhomes, because gas-powered motorhomes wouldn't be allowed in.
Then look out, cars.
Yeah, look out, cars. Hey, a big story out of Texas at the Paluxy State Park on the Paluxy River. You want to share that one?
Yeah, because of the extreme drought conditions that it's dried up the river at Dinosaur Valley State Park in Texas, and because of that drying up of the riverbed, it's unearthed giant dinosaur tracks that nobody knew were even there.
They had a theropod and a sauropod. So one of them was how big? 60 feet, one of them?
Yeah, one of them was about 60 feet tall and weighed about 44 tons, so that was a big dinosaur and stood about 15 feet tall. Now, our grandson can name every dinosaur,
Yeah.
and what they ate and what they looked like.
That's the sauropod. I think the theropod, which is another one they found, is about 15 feet tall. So I've been actually down there, and it's really interesting because you can see the dinosaur tracks that was in the rocks of the along that little river, the little Paluxy River, and it's a really cool state park. It's well worth visiting.
So they're probably a little bit worn out where you can see them, but when that riverbed dried up, they were really there for everybody to really appreciate.
Yeah, they were underwater, and then of course the water came and the sediment dried and blew away, and whoa, some dinosaur tracks. All right, hey, when we come back, we want to talk about this problem of this parvo epidemic that we now know is parvo that's been killing dogs all across the country. Stay with us. We're going to talk about that coming up. Tired of overcrowded campgrounds and competing for reservations, paying high fees for sites? Well, ownership is an emerging trend in RVing that might be right for you. It was for Jen and me. We bought some land just west of Nashville, Tennessee, in an incredible collection of mountaintop RV properties called the Woodlands at Buffalo River. These are 5 to 62 acre properties that allow RVs year-round starting at $79,900, and we loved it. The scenery is breathtaking, and you can own it outright. It's not a timeshare. It's your property, your way. You can landscape, garden, bring your pets, build what you want to. There's high-speed internet, and it's so private. It's a great place to make your home base. No more calling around for reservations, ready whenever you want. And they're selling these properties by appointment, 5 to 62 acres, September 3rd, 2022, $79,900. Financing, big discounts available on multi-lot packages. For information, visit myrvland.com. When we're on a road trip, we always seem to find a way to stop at a Camping World center. There are over 225 Camping World locations across the country, and there's always one close by when we need parts and accessories for our RV or just want to shop. In fact, we have so much fun with Camping World, and as we talk about it as one of our sponsors, they have agreed to offer a 10% discount if you use the coupon code RVLifestyle10 when you buy $99 or more in merchandise. You'll find everything you want, from outdoor furniture and appliances, the ones you see us use in our videos and that we talk about here in the podcast. RV extras that include everything from camping chairs to fire pits, electrical accessories, must-have gadgets. Check them all out. And again, don't forget, use the coupon code RVLifestyle10 when you visit campingworld.com. Welcome back, everybody. Time for the topic of the week. And topic of the week this week is of particular interest to those of you who travel with dogs. And I think our surveys show about 60 to 70% of RVers travel with a dog. And
Some multiple dogs.
And sometimes multiple dogs. And as you travel, you're in various places. There is this epidemic that has really frightened a lot of dog owners and has baffled veterinarians because the dogs have become extremely sick very fast. Many dogs have died within 3 days of showing symptoms. And at first, these dogs tested negative for parvo. Parvo is an incredibly infectious disease that affects canines.
And normally it hits the younger dogs.
Yeah, younger dogs under, I think, 4 months old. But this is what baffled everybody because, it looks like parvo, and they would test the dogs at the local vets or animal control places, and they came back negative. And so they didn't know what was doing it. Well, since then, late last week in Michigan, which is sort of the epicenter for this outbreak, they identified it was indeed parvo, and they don't know why they initially tested negative. This is not just Michigan. Our research has suggested that that there's been an infection like this that has affected throughout Europe earlier this year, and we have found reference to it in North Carolina,
Tennessee, Idaho, Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania,
Ohio.
So it's out there.
But Michigan has been sort of the epicenter. Michigan, right up here in the north central part of the state, and near a town called Gaylord, which is kind of anybody going from the Upper Peninsula usually stops there. Traverse City's over this way. There's lots of lakes, and it's prime vacation country. And that's where it has been perhaps the worst of anywhere. And we just did an interview with Melissa Fitzgerald. She is the director of the Otsego County Animal Control Department. And she has had to become an expert in this very quickly, has been under a lot of pressure as they've been trying to figure out what was killing these dogs. They just got the report back as we interviewed her just a day before from Michigan State University that it was parvo. Now, why again they tested negative, we don't know. Early reports also said that that some of the dogs that died were vaccinated dogs. And since then, we have now learned that they were really not properly vaccinated. That their owners might have thought they were vaccinated. What does this all mean to you as you travel with your dog? What precautions should you take? Let's talk with Melissa Fitzgerald, the head of the Otsego County Animal Control Department. Well, Melissa Fitzgerald joins us now. Melissa, thank you so much for making some time for this really important story, I think, that people need to know. Let's start with what you have found up there in God's country, northern Michigan, Otsego County.
Otsego County
Resort in the summer. When did this start? How many animals affected? And then let's take it from there and see how widespread this is.
So we received a couple phone calls toward the end of June that their dogs were dying of parvo. When they would take them into a vet, they would test negative for parvo. So the vet would treat them as they saw fit. And then 3 to 5 days, the dog died. So we were able to get a couple of necropsies down to the MSU lab, and they were coming back as a positive for parvo. So
even though they initially tested negative.
Negative, correct. So we had alerted the Department of Agriculture that we were seeing more and more cases. We received, between us getting phone calls and veterinarians' offices, there's been probably close to 30 plus cases in Otsego County.
Of dogs dying from this.
Of dogs dying from this, testing negative, yet, probably it was the parvovirus. So the state of Michigan vet, the Department of Agriculture, kind of stepped in and started doing testing on the material that they had. They issued a press release yesterday that it is parvo, but they're still looking to get more material, whether it's a fecal matter or whatever, from those that have tested negative, and see what more they can figure out about it. So
that's
kind of where we stand at this point.
The first mystery is why these ill dogs are testing negative for parvo, and then it comes back and it turns out it was. Were these dogs vaccinated, all of these dogs, or unvaccinated?
No, not properly. And that's kind of what they determined as well, is not proper vaccination. A lot of people think, their distemper parvo vaccination, it's like a 4 or 5 way vaccination that you can do as an individual. that it's a one and done shot, and it's not. It's a series of vaccines, normally given to puppies, and this is where we were seeing the under 2-year-old dogs that were being affected by this.
Now,
So, um,
this so parvo is a disease people are at least familiar with.
mhm.
What is I think so disturbing is how fast this seems to be spreading, and that it's not just your area. What other areas? I know in Michigan, but we've seen reports around the country like this.
We've gotten calls since putting things out on Facebook and into the news. Wisconsin, South Carolina, Florida, Texas. So I mean, it is widespread, and I think the key is vaccination, proper vaccination.
Now, uh, what precautions should people make besides that? Because it is so incredibly easy to spread.
Mhm.
We've seen some reports in a neighboring county to you where they said they wouldn't even let their dogs go outside. Uh, I don't know if that's a little over the top, but what advice would you give folks about this?
I would say, first of all, if you're traveling with your dog, and you need to take a potty break, kind of go off the beaten path a little bit, not where, hundreds of other dogs have been before you. Um, Pick up after your dog, clean up after your dog. Fecal matter is a huge spread of this. And dogs, of course, sniff it. They sniff everything. So pick up after your dogs. Make sure that they're on a leash and you can see what they're sniffing and where they're at, and go off the beaten path a little bit for potty breaks maybe, and just
For dog parks, and this is a tough question because so many people, we use dog parks all over the country for our dog, but I'm frankly not going to let him go to a dog park for a while. And he's been vaccinated, but still, I don't want to take the chance
taking
to
that
say,
chance.
yeah,
That's a fair statement, because it can stay. Parvo stays in the soil and in the area for so long. I mean, 6 months to 8 years, I think. I mean, it takes a long time to clean up. So, I mean, I was part of getting the dog park here up and running. And I hate to say that I wouldn't probably take my dog to any dog park at this point. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that because I think that's the advice that we're going to suggest. Any idea why this is so widespread across the country? We've also heard reports here in Nashville, Tennessee, and Florida. Everywhere it seems to be noticed, even in Europe, the similar things.
right.
Any idea why this outbreak is so widespread and so virulent?
My opinion is what you're seeing now is um, a shortage of veterinarians. So it's hard to get into a veterinarian. And people are taking advantage that this vaccination can be given by themselves. However, they don't know how to properly handle it. So you go to a farm store, you pick up their vaccination, and it is meant to be kept at a certain temperature. And most people don't know that. So they pick it up from the farm store, they take it, they put it in their car. Now we have, warm environment in the car. They may stop at grandma's house, they may stop at, place to eat, something like that. Now it's gotten warm, it's been over an hour, and basically you have a vial of liquid that is not going to.
So that's why some of the early reports, people thought their animals were vaccinated, but as you say, they weren't properly vaccinated.
Correct.
And that's good to know. So somehow this has just gotten so out of control. And
Yes.
uh, we're learning about the mystery part of this is the tested weird.
Right.
I see of other places where people have mistaken this for dog influenza, and they first diagnosed it and treated animals that way.
Hmm. There are probably hundreds of conditions that this could have been. So when it tests negative, the vet goes, well, okay, so it could be X, Y, and Z. And so they, treat as they see fit at that point. Whether it's stress or HEG so that's where the mystery had come in. And um,
So,
we were seeing a whole lot of dogs.
so if I could just kind of bottom line this, whatever it is, it's very widespread right now.
We're gonna call it parvo because the state
Yeah. So we
did
can call it
did come
parvo,
down to that. Yep.
but because it is so widespread, so many animals have been affected. Uh, we would urge people to avoid dog parks, places where other animals have gone.
Mhm.
Watch over your dogs, keep them from that, make sure they're
Yes.
vaccinated. And for those who travel, do some checking in the areas where you're going to know if it's
Right.
very prevalent. Well, we all love our dogs, and we love people like you who care for them. So
Well,
thanks for being for getting the word out on this for so many people. It's tough because we live in a time when journalism is not very widespread. People kind of report one thing here and not, but nobody does the big picture. And that's why we're jumping in on this, trying to give people an idea.
well, I appreciate that and thank you. Yeah, it's that word of mouth, and media tends to get stuck on one thing and take it and blow it up. And basically what it comes down to is get your dogs vaccinated properly.
And
So,
yep, and it's not just Michigan that this is happening.
no,
I think
right.
that's the other point.
Yep.
Melissa Fitzgerald, you've been a great. I should ask one thing. What if somebody's dog becomes ill? What are the symptoms that they should look for and know that they need to get immediate help?
Right. The very, at the very first sign of diarrhea, bloody stool, vomiting, lethargic, um, get them to a vet. The earlier you get them there, the more success that could possibly be had.
All right. Well, I'm going to watch over my dog Bo, and I'm sure others will be doing the same.
Absolutely.
Cheryl, thank you, and we'll check back again if this thing
Yes,
this story
please
works.
do. Please do.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Be safe.
So the bottom line, as Melissa says, is try and limit your dog's exposure to fecal matter. Should you go to a dog park? A lot of people are curtailing that. What I think surprised me is how long this infection lies out there before before it's not a danger to dogs. But make sure your dog is vaccinated. If your dog is properly vaccinated, he should be okay.
I couldn't help but wonder if maybe with COVID and everybody was in lockdown, and it seems like I heard a lot of people adopted pets during that period, and maybe multiple pets. And vets, the shortage of vets, being able to take your dog in to be treated. Even in Michigan, you couldn't get him groomed, you couldn't get to a vet, you couldn't do anything. And I wonder if people got in the habit or trying to save money started buying their vaccines in places where they weren't properly
Refrigerated, kept at the right temperature.
or you
Yeah.
bought it and
So
there's a way to do things.
So if your dog is not vaccinated, don't take them to dog parks. Don't put them in kennels. Get them vaccinated.
Yes.
Get them vaccinated properly. This is nothing you want to mess with. It's just a really bad thing, and there's been outbreaks, like I said, all over different parts of the country, and even in Europe. And there's still a lot more they need to figure out about this. Why it's so virulent, why it doesn't show up. But bottom line is, take care of your pets. When we come back, the questions of the week. Stay with us.
When we're asked what's the most important modification we made to our RV, it's an easy answer. Battleborn batteries. Battleborn batteries are quality, safe, reliable lithium batteries that allow us to stay out there off the grid longer. Lithium batteries charge faster, they charge fuller, they're longer lasting, they're maintenance free. And Battleborn batteries are protected by a 10-year guarantee. Now, in our case, they just dropped into the existing AGM batteries that we have. And they'll probably be the same on your rig, too. Battleborn battery experts can get those in your rig just like they did with ours. They can also match you up with the right cabling, the inverter, the charger, the solar controller, everything. Jennifer and I swear by our Battleborn batteries. They allow us to boondock off the grid. Check them out. Go to rvlifestyle.com/lithium. rvlifestyle.com/lithium.
Welcome back, everybody. Time now for the RV questions of the week. And here's one that came to us from Craig, Trina, and Caitlin. And they say, thank you guys so much for accepting us into your group. They joined our RV Lifestyle Facebook group. We're a family of 3 plus 2 dogs, and we're fixing to hit the road full time. Right now, we're trying to find the best floor plan for our family. My question is, when you started looking at purchasing your RV, did you have any problems at the dealerships? For instance, we've gone to 2 local dealerships, and both times, once they realized we were not buying that day, it was like they didn't have time for us. We are just wanting to look at different floor plans so we can get an idea about what works for us. I can look all day online, but that doesn't help much. Both times that this has happened, I have been very discouraged, and I don't even want to try at another dealership. Are they all this way, or was this only because they're small town dealerships that we visited? And that's from Craig, Trina, and Caitlin.
That is very sad if they're only interested in you, if they think you're going to buy that day. And if you're just looking, they don't want to waste their time. Obviously, they must get straight commission for their pay, and they just don't realize the big picture about trying to educate the consumer.
And you know what? I would never go to any of those dealerships to save other people the same experience. Go online and find places where you can leave reviews. Mention that dealership specifically. Send a note to the owner of that dealership. Let them know that you will be telling other people about it. We hear stories like this. It really makes us angry.
You know, I would be afraid to buy at a dealership like that,
yeah.
Because, they're not interested in you unless you're going to buy immediately. And then what happens once you buy, when you go back with a problem? I don't know. I wouldn't trust them to answer that.
I think that so many dealers have become so greedy in the last couple of years because it's certainly been a seller's market. That is starting to change now because the supplies are coming in. But, they didn't have to work that hard to sell it. You remember years and years ago, it was the automobile industry and the stereotype of the used car salesman and the high pressure at dealerships. And that really it got to be such a problem, it forced the automobile industry to reform the way they sell cars. I hope that happens with the RV industry because we get reports like this fairly often from very high pressure dealerships. And don't do business with them. There are plenty of dealers that really want your business and will bend over backwards. Anybody who expects you to buy that day, to make it's the second largest investment that you will make after buying a home. You're not going to make that decision in one day. Now, that said, if you've done all your homework online, there is a way for you to do a lot of shopping quickly, and that is by going to an RV show. And this is the season. It starts with the biggest one, America's largest RV show, September 14th through the 18th, Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a great show. 1,300 RVs, 1,400 dealers, I think, are on hand representing these things. Or I've got the numbers all goofed up. 1,300 RVs from 400 manufacturers. That's it.
I mean, the best way to get a feel, the best way to know what you want is to go to an RV show, sit in them, look around, and get educated.
And we've seen people at these shows. The smart shoppers have a little notebook, and they've got several models that they know they want to see, and they want to actually go in and sit in and see how it would feel and what it looks like. And you can go after model after model after model at an RV show like that. And Hershey is obviously, it may be too far from you guys, but The RV season starts. There are now at least a dozen that are scheduled. We send out a newsletter every Monday morning, and in that newsletter we list the RV shows around the country that are happening. We give you a couple week schedule on them. So if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, be sure and do that. You can do that from our website, rvlifestyle.com, and look at all the RV shows. You will find one in a place that's not too far of a drive from you, and go look that way. Don't you think?
Half the fun of buying an RV is asking questions and looking and just experiencing it. You want to know before you buy.
But if you get the cold shoulder, and if you're not going to buy today, go away. You do not ever want to do business with that dealership. That tells you a great deal about them. And expose them. Give them reviews. Tell them. But before you always give a bad review, contact the owner and let him know that. And if you know the name of the salespeople that we're talking to, give them their names too, because that salesperson who did that to you will do it to somebody else. And I know if I owned that dealership, I wouldn't want people like that working for me. So give the owner the benefit of the doubt that he may not know how bad that salesperson is, and let them know before you publicly trash them.
How about if you ask the owner when the owner's going to be there and say, I want to get some information and I haven't been able to get any. So when are you going to be there so you could answer my questions?
Try it, but good luck. And they're all not like that.
No.
And try an RV show though, and then you can do all your shopping.
RV
really
shows
quick.
are the best because you need to sit on the product.
But we should also tell you
tires.
that if you are going to buy, the best place to buy is usually at an RV show. You will get the best price. So, and a little hint, if you're going to buy at an RV show, buy on the first day or two, because the smart shoppers all know that they go real quick.
They go quick.
And the best deals are right at the start, because the dealers like to put these sold stickers on to kind of create a fear of missing out. So go do that, and good luck. Thanks for the note. All right.
Now the second question. I heard someone on the RV Lifestyle Facebook group warning RVers about something called China bomb tires. What is that?
Okay.
Tara.
Well, Tara, that is a very controversial topic. The industry has been talking about this really a lot since 2018 and 2019. And it's a kind of a derogatory term referring to relatively low cost tires made for RVs that come from China. Now, let me say this. Most tires on most RVs were made in China, even tires sold by American companies, big American tire companies. So I don't want you to think that every tire made in China is bad, because it isn't. But there are some that have been. And critics came up with this China bomb tires because they tended to be bottom line, inexpensive, standard tires that manufacturers bought on the cheap, as inexpensive as possible. And most of the problems seem to be from tires that were made in 2018, 2019, usually from a brand whose name you wouldn't necessarily recognize. RV manufacturers get them, of course, because they're cheap. Mm-hmm. RV forums are filled with complaints and comments about them. They seem to fail catastrophically through blowouts very often. And a blowout, of course, on any vehicle is always dangerous. But on an RV, it is particularly dangerous because you lose control. That RV will flip. It can bring your tow vehicle flipping. It can cause injury, deaths. It's always dangerous. But again, I don't want you to think that all tires made in China are bad, because many of the tires on our RVs are fine. In fact, as I researched your question this week, I found this quote, and this came from Roy Littlefield. He's the Executive Vice President of the Tire Industry Association of America. And he said, the Chinese tires coming into this country, for the most part, have been safe tires. All the tires have to be tested before they come here, he said, referring to U.S. government testing and standards. That said, always check your tires. Big thing is to maintain proper inflation. You don't want to be too high or too low. And the safest thing you can do for your tires is to have a good quality tire pressure monitoring system installed on the tires of your RV or your motorhome or your towable. The best of them will give you the tire pressure and the heat, because heat's an enemy of tires. You don't want them to get too hot. And they'll, on the TPMS system, it'll tell you when it's too hot, like a little red line it'll approach. So get a TPMS system for your RV and keep them inflated. Check them always. Look for signs of wear or anything coming loose. Is there such a thing as a China bomb? I don't know. There certainly have been a lot of complaints about really cheap tires that came from China. So I'll leave all that to you, but check your tires. That's the important thing.
We love getting your comments and your suggestions. So if you'd send us your thoughts, we would love to receive them.
Just use our private email, Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com. And again, don't forget, sign up for our newsletter. We list the schedule of upcoming RV shows every Monday. That goes out with lots of news and stuff that we don't get a chance to share in our other outlets. So make sure you get our Monday newsletter every week. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. And again, we're looking forward to seeing as many of you as you can at the Hershey, America's largest RV show, coming up in just a couple weeks. Thanks for watching.
Happy trails.